The following pre-recorded program is sponsored by Adams Financial Concepts. Welcome to About Money, a different approach to investing you won't hear anywhere else. Your hosts, the AFC team, Mike and Al, are registered investment advisors who have a proven track record of managing long-term investments surpassing the markets. The information shared on the following program is for educational purposes only, and any investment advice given may not be suitable for all investors. And now, here's your AFC team, Mike and Al.
And it is Saturday, and we're going to be talking about money. If you've been listening to this program over the years, and it began in October of 2008. We're now almost 16 years old. You know that we look sometimes at major themes that last a long time. Starting in 2010, I talked about Dow 100,000. Started that at a radio program on May 21st, 2010. You know, that's just 14 years ago. And I said this, we were headed for a much higher Dow. Seemed almost impossible at that time. We were just coming out of the Great Recession. The market had been down to 6,600, and on May 21st, 2010, it stood at 10,193. 100,000 looked a lot further away than a market which just passed 40,000. That was the first theme we talked about. A secular bull market that was going to continue to go for a number of years, maybe decades. Second big theme was the international supercycle, a time in which the average GDP grows at a faster rate than average. I started talking about that on February 3rd, 2012, and that was driving the secular bull market. The Dow at that time was just 12,882 when we did that program. And we began to talk about how will the secular bull market end, or what troubles will it run into. And on March 17th, 2016, the program was about inflation is coming. That was 2016. That was before the pandemic. That was before the Fed even thought about raising interest rates. And the theme was things that have never happened before happen all the time. So it's important, as Kenny Rogers said, it's important to know when to hold them, to know when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run. That is part of what we're doing. We have a theme that we've talked about a little bit recently, that history doesn't repeat, but that it rhymes. And I want to take you back to World War II, 1940s. Maybe you've seen the movie The Guns of Navarone, or some of the movies back in the 1940s of World War II, and the big heavy artillery, those big guns that fired shells miles. But to aim those guns, they needed a group of people in a room to calculate the coordinates of where to and how to aim those guns. They'd have to take into consideration the weather. They'd have to take into consideration the humidity, the wind, the rain, if there was rain, or the sun. All those things, they have to take into consideration the distance the shells were going to have to go. And they sat in this room and they calculated that. And during World War II, the military thought, maybe there's a company that can make a machine that can do what those people are doing, and even do it more accurately. And so they went to a company and they asked the company, can you build such a machine? And the people at the company said, we can build one of those machines. And later the rumor is they testified before Congress in a closed session and claimed that total number of those machines that they would ever build was between 5 and 15, closer to 5 probably a total. Now, the people that sat in that room and calculated where those shells or how those guns needed to be aimed, those people, they had a job title, and that job title was computer. And the company, of course, that built those machines was International Business Machines, IBM. That is part of what grew out of World War II. People in those rooms, I mean, they sold a few more than 5 computers. But that was World War II. And as we look at where we are today, we think there's another theme that's going on. And that theme is COVID the Pearl Harbor moment of our lifetime? Pearl Harbor, of course, was the time in which the United States was launched into the war. But that resulted in a lot of changes, dramatic changes in technology and demographics and lifestyles. Is COVID the Pearl Harbor moment of our life? So if you go back and you look at history and look at Pearl Harbor and World War II, those changes that happen, if you think about the changes and the most recent movie one of the most recent movies was Oppenheimer, the development of the atomic bomb. And while that was developed for war, when you think about what nuclear has done in terms of nuclear medicine and the application of that in curing cancer and curing some of the other diseases, if you look at what it's done in terms of the power industry and what's happening today as we talk about replacing oil and gas and replacing to reduce carbon emissions, nuclear is a major factor in that. And of course, computers, I started the program by talking about computers and the big artilleries. Computers, think about what's going on today. And think about people are beginning to talk about AI, computer-based, computer system. And think about, as well, changes that happen medically. There was a pandemic in 1918 and 1990, the Spanish flu that killed 50 million people. And there was a Scottish guy in his laboratory in 1926, went away on vacation, left a window open, had a petri dish out, and came back, and the petri dish had something growing in it. He developed penicillin. But while you could grow it in petri dishes, you couldn't grow it in any volume. But during World War II, there was a big push to develop penicillin as something to give to the soldiers. And it was a company called Pfizer. And then recently with COVID, Pfizer was the company that was able to make penicillin in manufacturing in large quantity. That gave birth to the pharmaceutical industry. Think about that. And radar. Radar was something that was developed in World War II to be used on submarines, to be used in identifying planes flying overhead. But think about it today. Think about the fob you have for your car. That's radio technology. That came out of World War II. The barcode, the QR code. Go into a restaurant today, and some of the restaurants, you don't get to talk to a person. You get to take a picture of the QR code, and you get to order from that. That's radio technology. Geology, agriculture. And if you look at the weather, radar has made a huge difference in terms of predicting the weather. I can remember growing up where you listen to the radio and they say we're predicting that there's a 50% chance of rain, and you look out the window and it's already raining. That is less true today because of radio technology and what it's done. But think also, those are technology changes, but think of the changes that happened in lifestyles. Coming out of World War II, the GI Bill, and you sent a lot of those soldiers back to college. They came out with a higher skill level. And that led to the change of a service economy from a manufacturing economy. Homes built during World War II, 850 square feet, because prior to that time, company built their own company housing. But that gave rise to a real estate industry. The interstate highway system grew out of World War II, 25 to 75 million cars. Need for higher speed roads and the connectivity. Airports, jet planes. Boeing discovered the jet engine that had been developed by the Germans, but not really applied. That gave rise to the swept wing concept and the jet engine. And think about telephone. I'm old enough to remember when our telephone number was just 3 digits, 3 numbers. And a lot of times you could call up and talk to the operator and say, I would like to talk to John down the street. And they knew who you were talking about. It was so local. Gave rise to switchboards and eventually fiber optic. And radio gave way to TV. Those are some of the changes that happen in lifestyles. But think about the demographics, the tremendous changes that happen in demographics. Life expectancy increased from just below 60 to almost 80 today. Childhood diseases cured because of the development of the pharmaceutical industry. Nutrition, more abundant and safer foods. Women joined the workforce. Increased the size, it increased the brain power, added more stability, and increased prosperity. And cities, you had an exodus from the city center to the suburb. All of that happened. World War II. That was the Pearl Harbor moment and what it's led to today. And so as we talk about that, we talk about COVID perhaps being the Pearl Harbor moment of our lifetime. And we're coming to a commercial break soon. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the themes that are going on during COVID time and the changes we see. Many of the companies and many things that are happening are involved and come out and have not even been developed. And Also, I want to mention that we have a guest today, Abe Clayborn he was on the program at Two Doors Management, on the program today to talk about
Stellar?
Co-Stellar.
Yes.
Okay. At least I got the name right. Company Rockman? Anyway, we're coming to commercial break. Don't go away. We've got a lot more coming to talk about today. Don't go away.
About Money with your AFC team, Mike and Al, on AM 1300, The Answer. For more information, click on adamsfinancialconcepts.com.
So welcome back. Before we talk about what's happening with the changes that will happen in technology, demographics, and lifestyles with COVID, we want to get to our guest, Abe Clayborn. So welcome back to the program, Abe. It's been a while.
Okay. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So why don't we start? Tell us about your background.
I've spent over 25 years working in music and entertainment business side. Not a musician, I can't play any, but I've gotten pretty good working my way through, mostly at major records. I started out with Polygram, and I've worked for Geffen Records, Interscope Records, Republic Records. I bounced through, and then after my major label career where I was doing artist development, which is marketing, basically business development for musicians under the label. I moved on to working for agencies, so for music agencies, acquisition, content for various uses, from an MTV style channel to American Eagle Outfitter, Harley Davidson. Did a lot of the last 10 years. I started a company, Two Doors Management, which basically does a lot that capitalizes on a lot of experience I've had over, and it helps brands understand how to integrate music into their strategy to enhance their brand, whether it's licensing content, artist partnership.
So you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a time in which there were people, as I understand, hired strictly to figure out which place.
Oh, yeah.
Big record.
We used to have a meeting about the track listing, like, okay, do we put this? And the artist was like, no, I want this song first. You know, it was that's a meeting, and then we used to sit and have to decide what genre. So that's a meeting. It's like they made this great piece of work. What is this, rock? Is this adult rock? Is this soft rock? Is this?
It's funny you say that, because I was listening to a story on this Gloria Gaynor, and when her famous song "I Know That I Will Survive" was the B side of the record. Right. And they were like, no, that's like, no one's going to want to listen to that stupid song. And we'll put this song on the A side. Okay. And that was the B side of the record.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, a lot of those things.
Yeah. It was always an interesting business, and it was always, but the culture moves fast, but the actual industry doesn't move. You know, they get pushed into things. Like Napster came out, it's like, oh, we better figure out the MP3 thing. You know, they're like, you know, they're not often, the industry as a whole isn't a first mover on a lot of things, but because creatives and artists are, it creates this dynamic.
And a lot of it's changed. I mean, at one time, you know, musicians and bands did concerts to
right.
Now they sell CDs to promote their concerts.
Yeah.
It's changed dramatically.
It has.
You had 2,700 record stores that went out of business 2000.
Yeah.
Tower Records, CD.
Yeah, cassettes.
Yeah.
You know, dead formats, 8 tracks. I mean, you know.
Cassettes. we had 2 drawers. We just cleaned them out and took them to Goodwill.
Apparently, they're coming back in style. Like the kids think they're novel. I'm just like, oh, yeah. You know.
So as I'm unloading them out of the trunk of my car, the guy says, so how old are you? He says, yeah, I'm 70. He says, he knew when I'm out offloading CDs.
Now my wife tried to get rid of my CD. Oh, what do you get rid of those for? Keep those things. You never know when they come. You never know when they're going to come around.
I still have a fair collection, the big records, the 33.
Yeah, vinyl, yeah.
The vinyl, you know.
Yeah, well, that's booming now,
yeah.
That business. It came back and doing great.
Yeah, they're putting in new artists. They're putting out vinyl.
Yeah.
I know Taylor Swift brought out a vinyl.
Really?
Yeah, special edition vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the White Album, Jimi Hendrix. I have Strawberry Alarm Clock.
I think they said vinyl's gonna do $1 billion.
Wow.
Everything
Maybe
comes
I'll sell
around.
my record collection and retire.
They're probably buyers, you know. They're definitely buyers.
So tell us about the business that you said about curating music for you said American Eagle, Harley Davidson. How does that work?
Well, it's really a conversation. When for the in-store, start there. You don't want a silent disc, so it's up people to shop. And I can go into all the data about why playing helps people shop and spend more. But that's ultimately the goal.
Right.
But you also want it to fit the customer they're trying to. So American Eagle is youthful. They want to cater to an audience. Mm-hmm. And just to match to the fashion design of their clothes. So a lot of it was a conversation about, okay, who is this customer? Then sonically, you can represent that with a myriad of artists. So we would have programmers, we had big kids really, and they would sit there and listen to thousands. They said, this sounds like American Eagle. Like literally, they would be like, right. Oh, well, we need something sunny, beachy, upbeat.
Now, would American Eagle then, do they get like a loan for that music?
No, so I would have to go license everything they use. Yeah. So in the store, that's a public performance. It's a blanket that allows us to play anything. But I would have to still get those licenses from the ASCAP and BMI of the world. But if they want to use it online, that requires a separate license.
And how long is that process?
It can be fast or it can be slow. It depends on the song.
Yeah.
And who owns it, and if you can find the owner copyright. Because sometimes that's a problem. You'll have 5 songs.
Yeah.
And this guy owns 1%.
Right.
And he's
I didn't even think of that.
He's not really in the business or anything.
Yeah.
But he still owns that 1%.
Right.
And you need his permission to use the song.
And what if he died and the rights are tied up in litigation? Then you're really stuck, right?
Right. And then sometimes they're like, we can't use the song. Or you can use it and risk getting a lawsuit, but we can't because we cannot track this dude down. We don't know where he is.
You go into the store, you don't think about it, just go in and shop.
You just look and shop.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's a funny story. I had to license a song by Lionel Richie. And come to find out, in 2002, he lost half of his song rights in a divorce settlement to his wife, to his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So I had to go track down his ex-wife to get her permission to use one of his, because he doesn't own all of his own music. So it's like this is how muddy it can get.
Crazy.
Man, think about somebody that is married and divorced 6 or 8 times, and
Yeah.
So there was something that happened recently, very recent, and that was the U.S. Department of Justice came out and sued Live Nation
and Ticketmaster.
I mean, that Live Nation, they own Ticketmaster, they own the venues, they own radio stations, they own theaters. They control Broadway across America.
Do they own artists too? Do they actually own art?
Yeah, they represent some artists,
really?
like from business management.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean,
so how is this going to affect the industry? What do you think is going to come up?
It really depends on how this goes. It depends on how they slice it up. You know, like if they really make them break up all the individual businesses into different entities, they probably won't be as successful, to be honest, because the reason all these things work because it's all vertically integrated, and they all feed each other. And so
you think it could be worse for the concert goer?
Well, for the consumer, I don't know if it's going to be, because the chain is artists were feeling like they weren't money, and now they started to charge more, which and Ticketmaster's like, well, in order to recoup that, we have to charge more, and then but I don't see the artist saying, I'm going to...
Right. I kind of think of it like cable TV. Remember everybody wanted their cord cut?
Yeah.
Now to get all the shows and stuff you want to watch, you probably got to spend $1,000 a month. Right? My $250 with cable, it doesn't look so bad now.
Right.
Actually,
what?
We get less. Well, during baseball season.
No, I know, but if you had to go build all the again, VO, Cinema, Showtime, all those channels to get a subscription with your internet and phone for like $250 a month, it's ridiculous. If you had to go recreate that, it costs you $400.
Yeah, it gets expensive. Yeah.
So it'd be an interesting thing because as they announced the antitrust, they said Live Nation's charging customers. They were charging the Ticketmaster. Were charging.
Yeah, but I think Abe could be right. It could be right. Is it going to really be better for the consumer and the concert? Or the concert go if the musicians then demand more and they don't have any price, there's no price control, and the tickets, then things could actually be more expensive for the consumer.
I mean, the fees that Ticketmaster charges are pretty high. They make a ton of money, but they also they make money a bunch of other ways too. They charge artists. They charge they charge for production. They charge
Don't go away. We'll come back after this. Very interesting time happening now.
About Money continues. Remember the website, adamsfinancialconcepts.com. Here's your AFC team, Mike and Al.
Live Nation and when this Justice Department lawsuit actually benefited consumer. I mean, I think of some recent breakups, Mike, over these major breakups. When they broke up AT&T into the mob, a lot of people complain that, hey, the prices didn't go down. It didn't save me any money. Actually, prices went up. And so I don't know the industry. Abe knows it way better than we do. And I just think like you could see some of that happen.
On the other hand, when you look at the breakup of AT&T, what did we have in AT&T times? We had the black phone.
Yeah.
And we had the princess phone.
Yeah.
And, think of all the changes that have taken place. I mean, here we sit with a mobile phone that has a computer that's bigger than...
Yeah, well, but
would that have happened with AT&T?
It would have happened, absolutely.
I'm not sure it would have.
Oh, it would have happened. Someone would have came along and wiped us.
I mean, remember when AT&T was doing long distance, you paid $10 or 10 cents to call Bellevue.
I know. And then they came out. Remember the little cards came out? You get the little long distance cards and all that stuff. So that was already starting, Mike, with these long distance and competition coming in.
But I mean, as competition came.
But the competition wasn't coming from the other Ma Bells.
It came from...
It was from guys like Craig McCaw and Celia who came into the business and disrupted the business just like the internet did in the day, right? And took over the phone books and all that advertising. Said, we don't need this more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be good. I mean, if they make them just take away ticketing, that's, Ticketmaster would be separate, but Live Nation still owns all the venues.
Right. So if they say you can't play at our venue, what do you do? Oh, yeah, you can buy the ticket, but you can't play it. My friend Kevin Kay's back in Boston. He's loving this. Like he's the biggest ticket scalper in Boston. Maybe it's going to be good for his business.
No, I know that the venues, a lot of venues like Seattle Theater Group, Ticketmaster. I mean,
but they were kind of forced to deal with them, right? They had them over a barrel, basically saying, "Hey, if you don't use us for ticketing."
Well, Ticketmaster charges venue STG to access the service, and then they charge customer service. Yeah. So that's why you're raking us, but you have the biggest system that has the most users. So for a promoter of a show, Broadway show, how do we reach the most people? It's probably through Ticketmaster.
I mean, Major League Baseball, their own ticketing system. And I can remember Seattle Theater went with baseball ticketing system.
Right.
Far preferable to Ticketmaster, baseball ticketing.
right. I mean, there are competitors out there. They're like little small ones. See tickets.
What about these ones like SeatGeek and all Vivid Tickets? Are they like offshoots? Those are the scalpers. Vivid Scalp. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I get on there and I'm like, the ticket's $99, and you go to click out, and all of a sudden fees, and you're like, oh no, the ticket's $175 after fees. I'm like, what's the difference between my friend on the street?
Yeah.
No difference.
So James came over with a Vivid.
Yeah, but
ridiculous fees they charge.
Well, they have bots. As soon as it goes on sale, the computers buy up all the time.
Yeah.
Then they wait until it's close to sell out, and then they'll put tickets up. Like, you want tickets to this sold out show?
I remember during my time, it was back a while, but I went on the board of Seattle, and Prince played, and the tickets sold out in 12 seconds.
Right.
Because they all went to a scalper. I mean, now they have set up technology so that can't happen. But they just scooped all the tickets.
I try to get tickets, can't get in the lottery, but yet the tickets, you can get tickets. I could have got tickets, on SeatGeek or whatever, like $8,000 for a ticket. All the tickets are gone. I don't know how, if I can't get in the lottery system, how do they get in the scalp every single ticket?
Yeah, I mean, but the ticket prices are those things market.
Oh, I know.
So
I know.
The artist sets the price, and I think they're also upset because the artist's like, okay, we're going to charge. They do a deal, and like, okay, tickets are $100.
Yeah.
But then they start selling $1,000. So you have to. The artist is only getting. So this is why they get upset at scalper, make it twice based on market.
There are times when I put the diamond tickets through SeatGeek, one of the Vivid, and you mark up the seat. When I think about the Mariners, when the playoffs 2 years ago, you could buy, and when they played Houston, you could buy a seat in the upper deck, Houston, for $39. For Seattle, it was $300, and that was buying from the Mariners. Those tickets were then marked up to $600 or $800 or $900 by the people that actually had it to sell.
I mean, they're trying to.
Same thing like when the Kraken run them down in Texas. I could have flown down to Texas. Tickets cheaper than going to Seattle.
So I have a terrible story about when the Seahawks played Denver in the Super Bowl. There was a mutual fund manager that I talked to in Denver who bought tickets, that from a ticket vendor, paid $25,000 for the tickets to go see Denver crushed by the Seahawks.
Of his life.
So goes life.
I don't think that's a very wise. But I heard people in Vegas are spending that kind of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was the Taylor's. Just kidding.
NBA playoffs, they played that way.
Yeah.
When the Sonics played, Charlie Sheen sat in its next time, and they were not the greatest ticket, 10 or 15 was up, but I bet he paid 3 times, maybe 5 times. I mean, maybe some of that will begin to go away.
I don't think so.
It's a hard problem. I mean, they haven't solved scalping totally. They try to control it, but lottery seems all this control.
Maybe there'll be some AI bot that stop people.
I hope not, because sometimes I have Diamond Club tickets I want to sell. The tickets to Toronto go for a good healthy price.
Yeah, we do.
So, but we've been talking mostly about Ticketmaster. The other area is the venues. It's going to open up a lot of venues for use by independent people.
Could if they break it up that way, that would be a good thing. Have more independent owner operate that would be they'll invest in up the Live Nation. They don't do a lot. I had a buddy speaker who's trying to sell professional speaker conferences halls, and he couldn't get in there. Live Nation's like, oh no, this is our speaker contract using kind of thing. So giving those opportunities for different vendors to come in, and
it'd be nice to see people also mount Broadway theater independent.
Yeah.
I mean, you get some of the things that are played off Broadway that eventually moved, but a lot of the money that's raised for Broadway plays is places like Live Nation. It's going to make a change.
Yeah. Well, it was, and we just hope that it's positive. I think some parts will be, but it's hard to say, again, if they're going to take every little bit. Like, there's venues they own, there's venues they manage, major festivals they own, or they bought out the independent. So what happens to the festival? They still own that.
Burning Man and all those?
Yeah.
Who, do they own Burning Man?
They don't own Burning Man, but...
they own, what else was it?
Coachella? The Governor's Ball in New York, the Napa Valley was about that. I can't remember. But, yeah, they own some...
It's going to make a big change.
Hopefully for the positive.
Hopefully it's positive. Hopefully it benefits consumers. Hopefully it benefits the artist.
Hopefully.
Because some of the artists felt they had no choice but to go with Live Nation, because Live Nation controls everything.
But you had another bit, we were talking loan money.
Yeah. So we looked at a gap in the marketplace, and usually in the creative sector, the creative economy, artists and visual artists, they're all fairly similar, but there's a long gap between their creation and start. And we saw that especially in this day and age with a lot of things being so digital track, when we're like, well, how can we service this sector better? How can we help artists thrive, especially coming out of and sometimes grants sufficient, they only go to a small amount. But what if we were able to capital help these artists grow outside of selling all their rights, giving up their business lively? So yeah, we're starting a finance company. Basically, it's a fund if you want to think about it. So for artists.
Don't go away. We're coming to commercial break. We'll be back with more. We have still things to cover. Don't go away.
About Money with Mike Adams on AM 1300 The Answer. For more information, click on adamsfinancialconcepts.com. About Money with the AFC team, Mike and Al on AM 1300 The Answer. For more information, click on adamsfinancialconcepts.com.
So we're here with Abe. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.
You're living in a very interesting industry and a very interesting time.
Rapidly changing. We hope good.
I think that's the name of things. Things are changing. Things are going to continue to change. We're going to see dramatic changes in technology, dramatic changes in lifestyles and demographic. I mean, when you think about COVID and the number of people that are working remotely, I don't think without COVID, we would see people working remotely like we are now.
No, we talked about 40% vacancy rates down here in Seattle, downtown real estate, commercial real estate struggling. I think it's going to continue for a while.
I mean, the building that we're in is 94% leased and 47% vacant. The leases were by Liberty Mutual on 17 or 24 floors that are now vacant, but the leases were 8 years, and so they'll continue to pay for that. but the offices are vacant. And you look at downtown
and if you got to go back and refinance that building, knowing that if you have a 5-year or 7-year note in that building when you bought it, and now you got to go back and refinance that, interest rates are up double what they were 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And now you're telling them that these leases are up in 8 years, we're 45% vacant, and these guys are going to be gone in another 8 years. That's a problem.
And for our building, they had 8-year leases, but for a lot of buildings, those leases are coming up this year and next year, and the occupancy is really down. Walk up and down 3rd and 4th Avenue downtown, and there's a lot of vacant spaces.
And they talked about, there was an article I read about that, Mike, speaking about getting, just specifically Seattle, getting stuff back downtown. They talk about downtown, like 3rd Ave being a ghost town. And the reason why they think so is because of the buses. They think there's no traffic on 3rd Ave anymore. It goes from a guy making a drug deal at Belltown, then finishes it up down at Pioneer Square, and that's who's using the buses. And he said, so people don't want to be on it, and the businesses of all closed on 3rd Ave because of that problem. There was no real good foot traffic. Excuse me. And so a lot of planners are looking at that. Well, maybe the dedicated bus streets, especially with the problems we're having down.
Foot traffic is picking up.
It is, but not on 3rd Ave. Though 3rd Ave is still
3rd
rough.
Avenue, even on 3rd Avenue, it's picking up. I mean, I moved back into the office in November of 2021, and there was so little traffic on either 3rd or 4th that even the homeless people weren't there.
Right. Because no one asked for money, right?
Yeah, no one asked for money, exactly.
Go where the money is, right? So
go where the money is. I mean, it just it's slowly trickling up. More slowly in Seattle than others. Yeah. But think about, in 2 years, the World Cup is in Seattle, and there's got to be a big push to fill up all the storefronts.
There's at least going to be, I think, 4 games.
Yeah, I think so.
4 games.
But, the mayor's office is a big push on that.
Yeah.
They're trying to fill these spaces with whatever, like I know a lot of galleries that we talk to are getting spaces.
Yeah.
Basically subsidized by the city and other nonprofits. Fill out these empty spaces.
Yeah.
At least make them look nice.
And make them for the visitors that will come. I mean, it will slowly work out. I mean, you look at Pacific Place and what's happened there. Some of the other stores, I mean, Nike's gone. And so many. That's been a big change. The number of electric vehicles has changed the world. And I can remember doing a show in 2016 talking about Mary Berry of General Motors and the head of OPEC saying they weren't worried about electric vehicles because by 2040 they expected fewer than 1% of all vehicles would be electric vehicles. No, I mean, we're living in a change. We look at AI and what's happening there. I mean, our administrative assistant uses ChatGPT. We did a seminar. He recorded the whole thing, then runs it through ChatGPT to do all these are the action points, all these are the things that need to be done. I mean, there was a time in which you took a pad of paper and a pencil and wrote notes. And then after you wrote the notes, you would make the list of action points, and then you'd put them on the computer. And I mean...
And I think the advent of AI and medicine, gene therapy is moving really, these things we would have seen before, being able to edit those type of, cardiovasculars are really... And it's moving so fast. There's companies out there that are well-funded, funding this research to find problems, type 1 diabetes, these type of things. They're going to continue to accelerate extremely fast.
And I think we'll see personal devices that you wear that will monitor... I mean, I have a Fitbit. It monitors my heart rate. It monitors my sleep. It monitors the number of steps that I take. We're going to see things monitor the oxygen level, and it's going to send...
You can already do that. Heart rate, heart arrhythmias is one thing you can monitor. All sorts of...
One thing that... There was a toilet that was developed in the UK. I remember the idea behind the toilet is that whatever you left in the toilet, it would analyze... figure out what was missing in your diet and send an order to the grocery store. That's true.
That's a little too much information for me.
I don't know if I want the grocery information.
Yeah, exactly.
Delivery, your toilet is ordered.
So you need more kale in your diet.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think you'll always say it. Well,
exactly.
Who eats enough kale? So.
Exactly.
But those things are going to change, and those things are going to happen. I think we're going to You know, it was Time magazine that had a picture around the turn of the century saying the baby was born this year, turned 150 years old. It's going to happen. Which means at my age, I'm just hitting middle age.
There you go. You got 70 years to go.
70 years to go. So there is this going on. It's changing in energy. It's changing in healthcare. It's changing in what we eat. COVID is probably the Pearl Harbor more life. Things are going to change so fast and so right. I used to use the example, the cell phone. Remember the PDA came out, palmed the PDA with the little stylus. I had one of those. And then BlackBerry came out and you could get emails on your BlackBerry. It had a little keyboard on it. And then Apple came out with...
But will this translate to worldwide GDP? You think we'll see another growth cycle of... I mean, we're seeing it maybe with potentially pushing India. India's the new China. Its growth is going to be 6-7%.
Yep.
Will that push a lot of other countries around there? Will that push the world into another super cycle?
I think we're going to be in this super cycle for another decade.
I think the only thing that can hold it back is any more geopolitics. Ukraine doesn't settle down are the only things. If those do settle down, I think we'll be definitely things will take off again. But right now it seems like the United States is the only country and India doing really well.
We'll see. Who knows how it will end? It will end. But for now, things are looking good. Things are looking positive. And for this show today, we are coming to an end. So join us next week when we will again be back to talk about money. Thanks, Abe, for being on the program. Thanks, Al. And if it's Saturday,
you've been listening
we're talking about
money with registered investment advisors Mike Adams and Al Souza. If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, or about AFC's investment philosophy and strategy, or if you'd like the AFC team to evaluate your own portfolio, click on adamsfinancialconcepts.com. That's adamsfinancialconcepts.com. The information shared in the preceding program was for educational purposes only, and any investment advice given may not be suitable for all investors. Join us again next Saturday at noon for more About Money with Mike Adams, here on AM 1300, The Answer. The preceding program was sponsored by Adams Financial Concepts.